Now let's learn about the network address translation, or the NAT. So NAT is the virtualization of IP addresses. NAT helps to improve security and decrease the number of public IP addresses an organization needs. NAT gateways sit between two networks, one in the inside network and the other in the outside network. NAT gateways can map IP addresses in many ways. A local IP address to one global IP address, and B, a local IP address to any of a rotating pool of global IP addresses, and C, a local IP address plus a particular TCP port to a global IP address or one in a pool of ports. D, a global IP address to any pool of local IP addresses on a round-robin basis. Now let's learn about the domain name system. As I have already told you that it's an internet service that translates domain names into IP addresses. Because domain names are alphabetic, they're easier to remember, but the internet is based on IP addresses. Every time you use a domain name, therefore a DNS service must translate the name into corresponding IP addresses. For example, the domain name is www.example.com, which might get translated to 198.105.232.4. The DNS system is in fact its own network. If one DNS server doesn't know how to translate a particular domain name, it asks another one, and so on, until the corresponding IP address is returned. It is also called as domain name server or domain name service. It translates domain name into IP address, the name server. It is a computer hardware or software server that is permanently connected to the internet and translates domain names into IP addresses and vice versa. The root server, the authoritative name server that serve the DNS root zone, commonly known as the root servers, are a network of hundreds of servers in many countries around the world. They are configured to the DNS root zone as 13 named authorities.